what are your opinion on what exactly is family friendship in workplace?
I have always believed in the role that we are expected to perform. Right? If we are able to perform that role without any personal biases coming into play, then I have seen workplace friendships actually enabling the entire environment to be more conducive, more inclusive.
What's the right stage for a company to focus on those aspects of HR, people management, culture, uh, performance management beyond recruiting?
So I think if you start right from beginning, then it becomes more part of the approach. Right? This is one part. Second is make use of technology, make use of fantastic partners who are available to kind of help you with your basic things.
Typically, in a recruiter, pure technology, they think it is going to take their jobs. Will AI take their jobs?
AI will take their job if they want the job to be taken away. If I get overly worried about will technology replace my role, then obviously technology is going to replace. But then if I find the real essence of my role, then any technology coming in is not going to replace it.
So we have Saurabh Shah here. He's the director head of people operations at Krafton India. All of us have actually played BGMI, and Krafton India is actually the organization behind bringing that game here. Today we are going to discuss more about what is there in that organization, what's going on there, who are the people, what happens, and more about Saurabh, obviously, right? So Saurabh has been in the space of people management, HR, more than that, right? So we're going to discuss all about that. First and foremost, Saurabh, I see you traveling, right? And I really love to travel. So, Abhi, what are your plans of travel? I want to know about that first before we start. So, where all you're traveling, and yeah.
Sure. Uh, Thanks, Samyak, for hosting me on this very interesting talk show. I'm pretty excited to spend the next few moments speaking about interesting aspects of what you would want to know, and probably also speak my heart and mind out. On your question about travel, I think it's a blessing in disguise, I would say, and because of the opportunities provided by Krafton, and of course, a lot of knowledge forums, thought leadership sessions. I think I've got to travel so much in the last 14 months. I have been on the roll almost every week and traveling across length and breadth of the country and internationally as well. Uh, and I can tell you, it's kind of opened up a very different perspective for my own self.
Mm.
I have reinvented myself in a lot of areas. In terms of my next plans, I have Pune, Bangalore, I have got Delhi, I have got probably up north, and Korea on my radar for the next couple of months.
Wow. So which is the best place in India that you have visited? Maybe work, off work.
I
So
think
that
it's
will.
it's uh, it's it's very difficult to pick one place. I think every place brings its own uniqueness. It could be Gwalior, it could be Coimbatore. Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm traveling to Coimbatore as well
Wow.
the week after. So it could be Coimbatore, it could be up north, it could be in Chandigarh, it could be in Jalandhar, or Bangalore, Pune for that matter. I
Mm,
think
mm.
I've kind of enjoyed being in every place. Delhi for that matter. I mean, I've never traveled to Delhi so much as much I've traveled in the last 6 months to Delhi. So I think every place has something unique to offer
Mhm, mhm,
and
mhm.
some different experience. So, but then of course, Bangalore is a newly found love, I would say, because I used to frequent that place. But then with Crafton being in Bangalore,
Mm.
obviously that's become my second home after Pune. So Bangalore has a very different vibe. Pune, of course, my heart and mind stays in Pune. But yeah, these two places have always have now become very close to me.
I think another important aspect is people of that place. So any specific uh, story that comes to your mind, right? You mentioned Pune, but maybe people of, and I'm sure you've worked with different set of people coming from different diverse backgrounds. So do you have a personal preference in that, or any specific thing you want to?
No, so actually, very interesting. Okay, Samyak, and I think every place I have traveled, I've got to travel over years. There is a story in itself,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all because of people. I mean, this travel has introduced me to people like you, or it could be different people in the education space. Who have now more than colleagues have become friends, have
uh,
become like your thought partners, where every time you travel to that location, then you make it a point to have those conversations, meet up, because that again adds a very different flavor to your own thinking, right? And yeah, it's pretty interesting because what I've realized is wherever I get to travel, I probably end up having somebody or the other, whom I could meet, whom I could have a conversation. If not anything, I can just pick up a phone and talk to the person and ask him or her, hey, what's that unique thing which I can visit in the city. So I
uh,
think that's how it's been all.
wow, wow, wow. I see you very active on LinkedIn, right? And I think you're one of the LinkedIn top voices in the field of HR. How it all started? Like, when was the first time you thought that I should actually get live on LinkedIn, create some content? How much time it took to get to that where LinkedIn is recognizing you as a top voice in HR?
I think it's been a journey, and I have enjoyed being part of that journey. Uh, if you ask me when did I become very active, I think last 15-16 months
Okay.
uh, have been like a turning point in that space where obviously the power of social media, especially LinkedIn, was known. But then that ability, that bandwidth to kind of make sure you're available, kind of evolved to the last 14-15 months.
Hmm.
And that's where I kind of thought to myself that probably, yeah, this is a forum, or this is a platform where I could voice my thoughts, where I could share my opinion, where I could gather a lot of expert insights in terms of anything and everything I'm doing, right? So I think that's how it kind of all started.
Hmm.
Of course, from a
Hmm.
Krafton India standpoint, we have a very strong approach towards making sure we talk about anything and everything we're doing within Krafton India. And I started picking up those threads, and
Hmm.
instead of just resharing those updates, I started putting in my own thoughts about what do I feel, or
Yeah.
how do I look at this particular update about a certain thing which we at Krafton India are doing. I think it all started there. And then
Hmm.
thoughts kept coming of how I could kind of improvise my own content. I think one of the thing which has been a key is consistency.
Mm-hmm.
So I think 3 months back, I started something by the name of People Pulse,
Yeah.
and I decided to myself that here, let's start where I'll pick up topics which are kind of very very common, but very difficult to practice,
Mm-hmm.
and I will try and bring in my own experiences through it.
Give me an example.
So the last one, which I spoke about, People Pulse, was about mentorship.
Okay.
And I spoke about my own experience of how my mentor kind of helped me explore something which I felt was impossible. And then I
Hmm.
spoke about how different schools are creating mentorship avenues, and people like us get opportunities to connect with the early talent, and how mentorship has helped me. And probably I kind of uh, was able to make an open call where I said, hey, if you would want to just have a conversation, I'm more than happy to have those conversations, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of instead of just being a one-way communication, these posts started becoming two-way communications. And if you go through, if you find time to go through that series, you will realize that every comment which has come through, right, is very unique.
Uh,
And it has also been very volatile. I mean, in between, one of the series I did was on failure, and you'll be surprised, Samyak, I had people being very vulnerable and opening about their failures which they faced for 10 years, 15 years, through comments, which I felt was that probably that was one of my purpose, that create
yeah.
an avenue where all of us can be ourselves. We don't have to
Wow.
think about what somebody else will think when I express something, right? Because I think that's one of the major reason why there's a lot of stress. Log kya kahenge. So I think that is what I wanted to kind of bridge, saying that yeah, people log कहते रहेंगे, but we should be honest to ourselves and express. So I think the People Pulse series, coming back to it, right? So that kind of, I thought pehle ki, let's start, let's see how it goes, and I said every alternate week I will release it.
Hmm.
It has become now a cadence last 3 months, very consistent, did not miss out a single time where the post did not come out. Interesting, I have a lot of people now who check with me in between. Hey, what's happening? When is the next one coming up? Which
Wow.
again is a kind of a inspiration for me, because then I think, acha, somebody is waiting. People are wanting me to talk about it. So I think that's how that entire journey is evolving. I was fortunate that LinkedIn reached out to me twice in the last, I would say, 6 months time,
Oh wow.
and they wanted me to share my thoughts on a particular topic. One of it got published by LinkedIn India News, which
Hmm.
has like some 72 lakhs followers. And it was about workplace friendships, a very different topic, a very
Wow.
offbeat topic. So yeah, I think it's been that evolving journey, and I think people like you, who again are very vocal about your own thoughts, right? I think the engagement happens two-way.
So I would like to go into the details of workplace friendship, uh, family in workplace. There are always two views, that workplace is different, work life balance, right? फैमिली तो फैमिली होती है, वर्क प्लेस में फैमिली नहीं होती है. All of those thoughts are there. What are your opinions on what exactly is family friendship in workplace? So does that really exist? Yeah.
I think there's a very thin line, in this entire, uh, topic, or in this entire concept, I would say. I think from my perspective, as long as we are able to do justice to our roles, which we are expected to perform in a workplace, if we are able to have a very clinical approach to what we are expected to do, right? So I have always believed in the role that we are expected to perform, right? If we are able to perform that role without any personal biases coming into play, without any personal intent coming into play, then I have seen workplace friendships actually enabling the entire environment to be more conducive, more inclusive, kind of inspire each other. And I've seen those through a lot of organizations where I've worked, right? Each of my teams, more than the hierarchical structure, we have become friends outside work or within the workplace, right? But when it comes to outcomes which we are intended to create, we've been very very straightforward that this is what we would want to create, right? And
Hmm.
I have actually felt it to be a blessing, because then you're not only driven by what you're expected to create, but then there's a lot of personal attribute which comes into place, where you align it to that, oh no, this is something which we have to achieve together. So that
Hmm.
belongingness actually drives a lot of those things. But
Hmm.
yeah, you've got to have that line very clearly drawn, where it is professional, you have to create outcomes, you are there for a purpose. And I think if we are able to cascade that as leader, right? See, again, this cannot come from a bottoms up approach, this has to come from you as a leader. Be very very honest and open about all of those things, right? I mean, one of my previous organization, Capita, we were able to create wonders because of the magnificent team we had. And we were more like a family, more like a close bunch of friends working together for a common purpose.
Hmm. 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 I'll ask you a question on this from a perspective of uh, an HR, right? So there's a certain culture, and let's say there's an employee who's actually fitting in the culture really well, and what I can see is someone who is really fitting in the culture the best is where the feeling of family starts coming
Yeah.
in with that employee and the organization, right? Let's say this employee is not performing well. What do you do as an HR?
No, I think, as I said, right, I think we got to be very objective in our approach, because everybody has to be treated equal when it comes to performance measures. It could be your closest buddy, or it could be anyone else, right? When you have objectivity and in the entire evaluation, right, then it is very straightforward. And this is something which I've practiced. While you would be a close knitted group, but your performance measures are to be very, very transparent and very clearly drawn. When those are drawn, then it is very easy to kind of uh, identify if there are some issues, ongoing issues, right? And then you can resolve it through through formal ways as well as informal ways. The intent is very important, Samyak, in this entire
Yeah.
approach, right? The intent with which you are executing something, is your intent not to actually help the person who's not performing and probably just look at it as a way to have a smoother exit, then probably you're defeating your own purpose of the role you're expected to play, right? If your intent is to make sure that you can still turn around somebody who's probably spent a good amount of time in the organization, and if you're able to create that avenue, right, then I think you're being very dutiful to the role which you're expected to play. And that's how I've looked at these. As people leaders, we have to make sure we enable, we kind of create that environment where our colleagues feel supported. Even during difficult times they feel supported. They look at you as, oh yes, there is somebody who's independent and who will make sure that there's fairness in the entire process, and create that avenue. And again, that's a bit contradict there's a bit of, I would not say contradiction, but a bit of conflict which a lot of people face, is if the person is not performing in your organization, you're kind of tempted to say that, oh no, the person has problems as an individual, and they would not make the exit also smooth, right? But I am somebody who is a believer that probably in that situation, this situation, it does not work for him, and we don't have any right to kind of impact the future career prospects of that individual.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been very honest with my colleagues who probably not been able to perform in their roles, right? That hey, probably it seems that it's not working out in this current scenario, but then this is what we expected, this is what what did not fall in place. But yeah, this is how we can support you. I think that intent and the way you look at it is very important. I remember one of my mentors saying that, Saurabh, in your role as a people leader, you have to always be clinical in your approach. It's like the surgeon, right? The surgeon would perform the surgery, but the person who goes through it doesn't feel the pain of it. Or probably when the stitching happens in the right way,
Oh wow.
that scar is there, but it kind of fades over a period of time. So you have to be very clinical in your approach, and when the clinical approach comes into play, then your emotions are probably channelized in the right direction, is how I've looked at it. Because they always say, right, it's important to be assertive. Even if you're not aggressive, that's okay.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Multiple questions coming in, but one is, and this is, I think, I'm sure, a lot of HR, lot of founders, they would want this answer, and they would want this answer very objectively. A person who is high performer, but not really fitting in the culture, versus a person who is maybe performance is still coming up, not that good, but really a gem in terms of culture fitment. What would you prioritize?
I would prioritize the latter one for
Mm-hmm.
sure, because attitude, culture is an integral part of you as an organization, and it reflects tremendously of your own growth as an organization and the purpose you exist, right? So I would always prefer the latter individual. Having said that, again, somebody in the first first category or first option, right? I would still want to kind of create that enabling environment for that individual to make sure that I communicate to the individual through different ways and means, and more than one time, right? Because as an individual, he or she may not realize that what's probably not the right way of working, right? So as a people leader, I cannot be biased saying that, oh no, this is not fitting into the culture, that's fine, let's end this relationship, right?
Okay.
So that enabling environment is very important from my perspective. You make sure you give the feedback, you make sure you give the opportunity, and if it's still not working out, then probably you're required to have that candid conversation, right?
How
And
do you give feedback? Let us assume I'm a candidate. I'm performing really well. Not maybe I don't know whether I'm a good culture fit, or naturally I'm not really a good fit. Otherwise, as in my personality is different than what exactly the organization is trying to achieve culturally. But what you want me to do, I've done all of that. How do you communicate to me that I'm not really a fit?
See, I think feedback has multiple elements to it, the way I approach this is I will make sure that whatever has to be shared with you, good, bad, ugly, I will make sure that I communicate that through you through that conversation. And I'm a conversation fan. I believe in conversations. Conversations can solve a lot of issues.
Hmm.
So as a leader, as somebody who is enabling that individual, right? It is my duty to make sure I communicate all these things, right? Good, bad, ugly. Because if I only communicate the good, then probably you're being unfair to the individual more
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
anybody else.
Hmm.
If you communicate only what is bad and ugly, then probably you're taking away all the inspiration out of that individual and saying that you're good for nothing. So you have to make sure that you balance out all of these things. But again, a candid sharing of what is expected out of the individual is very important, because assumption is a problem. We assume that oh, you should know that this is not the right way to behave.
Ah.
But yeah, probably that might not be my approach. I mean, aggression might be my approach to deal with things, whereas I might feel that no, assertiveness is the way, right? So assumption is one of the very very a root cause of a lot of problems.
Ah.
So you candidly communicate what is wrong, right? And what you expect. And the most important bit of the feedback also is, as a leader, as a mentor, you also need to give a path ahead, that hey, this is how I believe that we could traverse this
Hmm.
phase. This is my view, but then I'm open to kind of look at what you think also. And the element which probably is again important is listening through. Because as leaders, one of our important objective should be to listen,
Hmm.
which I think we probably oversee a lot of times. We listen only what we want to listen, but I think we should be open to listen everything, because then again, conversations will happen only if you listen, not only if you talk. So I think that's how I kind of would structure my conversation. I will put less emphasis of what has happened in the past, but I'll
Hmm.
make sure I communicate. But again, I'm not a fan of saying after 6 months that hey, 6 months before, this is something which you did wrong, because
Hmm.
then
It
you're
doesn't make
just
sense.
doing it for
Yeah.
the sake of it.
How do you do that at scale? I can I'm sure, right, how well you do it versus how well maybe a junior would do it versus a super junior would do it will be different. So when you scale at that level, how do you identify whether a person is actually a fit or not, and how then do you communicate?
No, so I think the approach remains same. With scale, you also have so many people leaders, right?
Yeah.
It's not only you who are the people leaders. So each of your business leaders becomes people leaders. Each of your team members becomes the people leader, and that's how you kind of keep cascading it. And that's why I say, right, it's the top down approach of how do you want to create the culture within the organization. When this becomes an integral part of the culture, then and then you have to reinforce it. I mean, you have to reinforce it along with your business leader, along with your other peers in the leadership. You have to keep reinforcing that hey, this is our approach, this is how we will look at situations, at challenges. And I think when you keep reinforcing, right, and whenever you have an opportunity, you have to kind of show that as a role model, that hey,
Hmm.
this is how we did it and this is how it turned around. I remember in one of our organizations, we actually did measure two things. One is, how did we convert, individuals who had performance challenges? How did we convert them, or how did we transform them into high
Ah.
performers? And
Hmm.
second was, how did we look at the entire approach towards internal leadership, as compared to external leadership. How many leaders did we actually create in a year? What did we do in terms of their development and all of that? That kind of helped tremendously.
Sure, sure. I think this was quite interesting to know. So what you're saying is, and a lot of us think that HR is all about recruitment, right? Going into job boards, finding talent, and all of that. Uh, but it is much more beyond that, right? What's the right stage for a company to focus on those aspects of HR, people management, culture, uh, performance management beyond recruiting?
From my perspective, Samyak, you have to start looking at it right from the word go, because it's probably imaginary to say, oh, after I become 50, an organization with 50 employees, I'll start focusing on culture. No, it has to start from right from the word go. And that's how I've looked at it, because in every approach of yours, it could be acquiring the talent, it could be enabling the talent in terms of development, it could be reviewing the performance of those individuals, right? I think we have to look at it at every stage of people approach or people management, of how do we make sure that cultural reinforcement, reinforcement from a performance aspect, reinforcement from a learning becomes an integral part of your operations. And that's an answer also to what you were asking earlier, right? When you scale, how do you kind of then start implementing it? So I think if you start right from beginning, then it becomes more part of the approach, right? This is one part. Second is, again, I firmly believe that whatever can be outsourced, it could be to a partner or it could be using a tool, should be done.
Mhm.
And probably which will free up a lot of time for us, a lot of bandwidth for us to do what we are actually supposed to do, is be with people. So
Yeah.
make use of technology, make use of fantastic partners who are available to kind of help you with your basic things, help you with your operational aspects, and create more time and space for you to kind of have conversations. Look at how do you reinforce culture, look at how do you bring in industry leadership processes and policies for your organization. You should have that thinking space available with you to think about what differently I can do.
You mentioned about using tools, technology. As an HR tech founder myself, I a lot of times I go to meet people, meet recruiters, CHROs. What I've seen is typically in a recruiter, right? They fear technology. They think it is going to take their jobs, right? And I also want to connect it with the jobs. Is recruiter only supposed to recruit, or how can they inculcate these things of culture, performance, people, right? All of that also in recruitment. So will AI take their jobs?
AI will take their jobs if they want the jobs to be taken away.
Okay.
That's how I look at it, right? Because if I get overly worried about will technology replace my role, then obviously technology is going to replace the role. But then if I find the real essence of my role, then any technology coming in is not going to replace you, right? And that's how at Krafton India also, right? We have so many HR tools to enable each of the members in the people operations team, right? But the way we look at say example acquisition, right? My team member who focuses on acquisition, she focuses on making sure right from the word go the conversations start being progressive. She spends a lot of time speaking to our candidates to understand how do they connect to the larger purpose of us as Crafted India. What how do they look at roles, how have they had their journeys? See, these are things which probably your tool will not be able to help you with, but
Hmm.
an individual will be able to peep into the journey of the potential candidate and bring that to the table, right? I think that's how we've kind of changed the entire dynamics of what we are actually supposed to do, right? So that's I would say a unique and a differential approach, and similarly it goes for other functions as
So
well, right?
primary work is to identify the purpose of the organization and how well that is aligned with the candidate, or vice versa,
Yeah.
right?
See, and probably I'll add a little more. See, and that's how you are able to identify a potential fit who will come
Hmm.
into the organization, right? And see, the cost of a bad hire
Hmm.
is much higher than actually not hiring a candidate.
Right. Right.
So, and this is something which I've been a staunch follower, staunch believer, and staunch advocate also, that, hey, you are the first person who will decide whether the person comes into the organization or not. So,
Hmm.
make sure that, you are very candid about it.
Yeah. 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 So so what's the purpose of Craft in India? Right.
So,
I'm very excited to learn about the cool stuff that goes in.
I think Krafton as an organization, I think we have a purpose to kind of, create an entire ecosystem in the country, wherein we be an enabler to potentially a lot of areas which we want to impact. Right, gaming, of course, is the core of our operations, and we will continue to focus in that space. I mean, we take pride about having a game which is India ki heartbeat. That's BGMI. But
Hmm.
then at the same time, we are also looking at bringing in new games to the country. Which one is, obviously we'll offer that to the country. But in the background, that's also going to create a lot of employment opportunities for potential, candidates who want to be in the gaming
Yeah.
space,
Yeah.
or who want to kind of scale up to the next level in terms of their own work, right? So that's one of our purpose, that we one is we enable the gaming ecosystem, create that employment as well. Second is, our focus area is also to look at how do we enable investments into
Ah.
into the Indian ecosystem. I mean, today we boost of investing, of having invested 170 plus million in different startups in the digital entertainment space, and
Wow.
this has happened over a period of time. And again, we are very focused on kind of taking this investment to the next level, and probably looking at non other related or non-related sectors also, where we would want to kind of make investments.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's again like a larger than life purpose, where we want to look at how can we create an enabling environment, not only for from a gaming standpoint, but also the startup ecosystem, which is so strong in India, right? The third focus area for us is our incubation program, which again, it's one of its unique kind.
Okay.
We call that as Krafton India Gaming Incubator, where we are talking about enabling startup founders, students, or developers who either have a game already, and who want to kind of
Hmm.
scale it to the next level, and kind of bring it to existence, or who have a concept on paper also, and help them traverse that journey and bring that concept to life. And it's working beautifully well. Today we've got 4 teams which are incubated with us. We
Hmm.
just opened up a cohort for the second cohort, and we're looking to incubate another 6 to 10 teams. Interesting bit of it is, you will get technical mentoring, you will get financial support, you will get the Crafton way of doing things. You get that muscle power to kind of bring a lot of things to life. So I think that's how we've again looked at. So if you look at it again, the purpose here is not way only to create games, right? But kind of be that ecosystem enabler, where you will enable a lot of people around to kind of bring their dreams to life.
Hmm.
And that kind of aligns very well to what our honorable Prime Minister Modi spoke about from the Red Fort on 15th of August. And then he said that while we will play games, but then let's make games in India which the world will play. And I think as Crafton, we are extremely well positioned to work towards that vision which he laid in the month of August.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. So when I think about gaming, right, I get two opinions. One is definitely right. I think when I was a child, I think this opportunity was not there. But now I can see professional gamers, right? People earning money out of it and super passionate about gaming. The other aspect of it is how much to play, right? What's the right? So what is it that you ensure, or how do you ensure that?
I think the enablement from opportunities, as well as entertainment, as well as uh, you know career related, it could be being a professional player, or it could be working for organizations like Krafton. I think we've been very responsible, and making sure we create those avenues, expand those avenues, and kind of make it more accessible. It could be through Kiki, it could be through an investment, it could be through our new games we are bringing in, it could be through our existing game like BGMI, Bullet Echo, all of these things, right? The other aspect of what you said, right? I think as an organization, we believe in being a responsible organization, and we've brought in the necessary controls when it comes to the duration in which you can play the game in a day. When it comes to people who are still young, we have got OTP based authentication, etc. So I think
Wow.
the approach is being responsible, and then making sure that we are a fan focused and employee focused organization.
Hmm. Do you play games?
Yes, I do.
You do.
Yes.
Which one is your favorite?
So BGMI, of course, but then I've got hooked on to Bullet Echo as well. It's a pretty interesting game.
So if I need to work with Krafton, do I need to be a gamer? Like, is that your recruiter get a checklist that if he's a gamer or she's a gamer, then only you should? Is that a thing?
I think you got to be passionate about gaming. If you're passionate about gaming, then automatically you are able to connect to the larger purpose which we spoke about, right? And of course, if you're a fan first, then you would bring that natural passion
Yeah.
to work with the organization, right? Which again is very important.
It becomes
for us.
easy.
Very
Yeah.
important for us because see, being on the creative side, you need skill set. Obviously, very important.
Maybe a silly question, but do you allow them to play while work?
Yes, we
Okay.
do. So you are allowed to play whenever you would want to.
Okay.
And that's something which is like pretty cool. Second is we actually have gaming arena within the office, and anybody and everybody within the organization can just decide and go and play and explore that space.
How do you ensure that they're working and not playing all the time?
Second, it's being responsible, right? See, with empowerment comes responsibility, and I think we're fortunate at Krafton that we have colleagues who are very responsible in terms of the outcomes they're expected to create. So there's a very good balance between what time they would spend gaming and the work they're expected to do, right? See, again, and aspect also becomes a very important input to the organization also, right? If they're playing, right? And this is one of the fantastic initiatives which we run on almost a monthly basis is, any existing game or new games which we are intending to launch, we would have something called as a play day, where a couple of hours is dedicated only for playing the games. And then we would collect feedback from each of them saying that what did you find good about the game, what did you not find good about the game. So that becomes like a user test also for us. So you've looked at the other side of letting them play, where they become your own ambassadors of what needs to go to the fan, etc., right? So yeah. So you will at times, if somebody is new to the organization, and then you might be in a meeting and suddenly you might hear bullets being fired and noise being there on the floor. But yeah, that brings the liveliness within Krafton. I mean, you've seen the office yourself.
I in fact want you to take me through that office. I want you to take our viewers through that office, a beautiful office. Take us through every step, and we'll try to like kind of visualize it.
I think this has been one of the best offices I have seen in my 18 years of professional journey. Every element which is part of that office, right from where it is situated, and this is very true for all Krafton offices across the globe. Speaking about India, right? I mean, we are right on the 19th floor, overseeing Cubbon Park, one of the largest green vegetation known at the moment, right? We oversee that from almost one entire part of our office. When you enter, you get the vibe of this being an organization which proudly owns BGMI, Bullet Echo, and other games, right? And then you've got these beautiful collaborations right when you enter the office. It could be Mumbai Indians, it could be the different esports tournament we have undertaken. It could be a lot of other awards which we would have won, right? Or it could be our engagement with our brand ambassadors. All of this is kind of filled in the entrance itself, which kind of gives you a vibe about what the organization cherishes, right? And then again, when you enter the office, you'll find a lot of space available for colleagues to move around. We've ensured that every furniture or every element which is there within the organization is very, very beautifully crafted.
I think there was some place which is actually part of the game
Yes,
also,
yes,
right?
yes. So again, we brought some elements from the game also to life, which again, all of us within the organization are able to relate, as well as if we have got visitors, they are also able to relate that element, right? We've got collab spaces. We've got a lot of areas where employees can just spend time discussing, deliberating.
Just a question coming out of this, right? You seem to be so passionate about gaming, right? What is your like ultimate passion? What's your larger vision for yourself? What is it that you look forward to, you connect with?
I think for me, the larger purpose is the ability to influence, uh, ability to influence myself, the surrounding, the people around me, and create that enabling space for everybody who can coexist in that space, right? If I'm able to, I mean, and I say this in a lot of my talks, if out of 500 people, even if five people I'm able to impact 10% to what they were thinking before and what they are thinking now, I think I've been justful to the time which I have spent having that conversation, right? So I think you asked me the purpose, probably the ability to uh, co-create a place where coexistence is possible. We create that enabling environment and navigate through that process and not worry about the destination. The destination obviously is going to be there, but enjoy that process is how I look at it. And they say that Maslow's hierarchy, right? I think I want to really traverse to that self-actualization space where I'm able to
Wow.
stand out of of my role and look at my role uh, to kind of evaluate myself whether I'm being fair to what I'm expected to do. Right, that's a very difficult thing. I've been trying to get to that space where you can stand out of your own function and look at your function.
Oh, wow.
So I think these are a few things, and to the younger generation, or to probably the newbies in the professional space, right? I want to go and talk about my own experiences, my own journey, how it has been, what has been the turning point for me, and go and speak about things which are easy but very difficult to practice. And one of that is your ethics, values, and principles. And then be very candid and open about how being a 0-1 person has helped me as an individual. And
You are a 0-1 person?
I'm a 0-1 person. There's nothing great. So it is, and if it is that objective, right? Then life is simple. And I always say this: life is simple. We make it complicated.
Right. I think we should actually make defaults, so that 0 and 1 is that default that you make
Yeah.
for yourself, and it helps you make those decisions faster. Again, to the same question, you mentioned about impact being created to, let us say, even if 5 people, and looking at your role from outside. My question is, what will happen if you do so? Like, why do you create impact? Why do you look at impact? Why not just look at your work? Why not just get that perfectly done, right? On all the parameters, you're happy, you're paid well. Why do you want to actually look beyond that? What's your take on that?
See, as an individual, then probably I've only lived 50% of what my life would be. Because, see, I mean, the role you're expected to perform, it has to obviously be it obviously has to be achieved much beyond than what you're expected to do. That goes without saying. So there's no point in focusing on impact and without doing your own job, right? then you're just talking and not following it through actions.
Yeah.
So I think for me, outcomes are obviously, we focused on outcomes, right? But then again, as I said, right, that's probably only 50% of what I feel is the reason for my existence, right? I would want to also live that other 50%, which will bring in a lot of happiness, a lot of satisfaction within me, that yes, I've been able to kind of create that impact for a few more individuals. And this goes back to my own personal story, right? Through this journey of last 40 plus years, there have been so many people who have helped me build that story, helped me stitch it together, right? So somebody gave me that opportunity, and that's why I'm here where I am today, right? So if I'm able to create that small opportunity for someone else, then probably I will do justice to that individual who gave me that first opportunity. I think I look at it from that lens.
That is, yeah.
And it's not only one person, right? There have been so many people who have who probably explicitly or implicitly gave those opportunities to me. And if I'm able to kind of imbibe that approach, then I think it'll be more actions to only the words. People Pulse is all about words and actions, right? Then I will actually live what I'm talking about. And that's why I want to kind of focus on the other 50% as well. And
Right.
probably I'll add a little more. I think opportunity at Krafton in India helps me do that to a very large extent. Our early talent program, or the way I'm able to contribute to various knowledge forums, thought leadership programs, etc. That enabling opportunity from the organization has played a very critical role, because this is something which I've been very passionate about, and the organization has become an enabler to that entire journey.
Yeah.
And again, you have to be very candid about what role you would want to play in that remaining 50%, right?
Yeah.
What is your intent in doing it? And I've seen there are so many people who will then give it to you with open hands, saying that hey, you actually are doing it selflessly. And that's where there's a beautiful term which we coined very recently, Samarpanshastra, where
Okay.
it is all about how do you selflessly contribute without expecting any return, and then look at that remaining 50% of your life, and create that impact. So I think that's another driving force within me, which kind of helps me keep going.
Where is that coming from? Right? Is it something, someone who told you to do this, or you read somewhere? Where is this thought coming from? Because I've heard a lot of people talking about this, and more often than not, these are people who are wise, right? So someone who has spent good time in work, right? Who has spent good time with organizations, people, whatever you are doing, not really like only work, but even if you're doing your own business, you first focus on that. But after a certain period of time, it is about this specific part which you mentioned, being selfless. I don't, so though I really try to understand all of this, I want you to tell why selfless and where is it coming from.
There's so much people are doing out there, and when I keep looking at that, I still feel that, oh, there's so much to be done, which again is a driving factor for me. So this was a conversation, and I told you, right, conversations are life for me. So this was a conversation I had with two of my friends, or philosophers in the education space.
Okay.
They work with an organization, or a institute by name Pune Business School. The director there and the dean. We were just conversing about the vision of the prime minister of Viksit Bharat by 2047, and we were deliberating about what can we do differently to kind of bring that skill element into the individuals who are going through management or engineering courses. Through that conversation, we started speaking about Chanakya. We started speaking about Chanakya Niti. We started speaking about the old age concepts of wisdom, the ancient concepts of wisdom. And then it was like a eureka moment, you could say, where we thought that why not bring those ancient wisdom concepts into modern management. And
Wow.
that's where we coined something called as Neetishastram.
Okay.
where if you split it, it's Niti and Shastram. So
Uh-huh.
Niti is your ethics, values, principles,
Uh-huh.
and Shastram or Shastra
Right.
is the science or the
Science.
art of doing it. But I also look at it as Niti Shastra or
Hmm.
Shastra, if you
Shastra.
look at it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how ethics, values, and principles can actually become your weapons for fighting
Oh,
through.
wow.
So that's where the idea came through, and then we started stitching together an entire initiative where we could kind of create sessions for the early talent to bring in these ancient wisdom into action. And then we started inviting people to come and talk about it very candidly, that how did, say, our first segment was around ethics, values, and principles, and we brought in stalwarts from the industry to come and speak about their own journey, their own life. How did they look at that entire or how do they look at Neetishastram. The next one we did was around Netritva, which is about leadership. And again, a topic very close to my heart, and probably we can speak a little more about it, is authentic leadership. Netritva, what defines you as a leader, right? So that's something which we did as part of the second chapter. And third chapter, which we just concluded, was around Samarpanshastra, where it speak about selflessness. And we were fortunate to have one of the key individuals, Dr. Rajendra Hiramat, who's a very tall figure in the socio economic circle, where the contribution is made is significant. And again, through his life journey, because see, again, if people are able to relate with personal stories, only then they will start believing in that aspect.
Yeah.
A lot of our time goes in giving gyan, but that is so easily available. But if you are able to relate it with real life stories, real life people, then the acceptance is much faster, right? And I again go back to my 5% impact. If through that journey, if I'm able to create impact of 5 to 10% in the minds of those people who are attending it, I think the purpose of bringing this together is kind of getting resolved. So that's how we've looked at Neetishastram, Samarpanshastra, Netritva, and then all of those elements, right?
This clearly gives a view of how that 50% actually looks like in real life, right? So it makes me think what you're talking about. Do you feel that the current education system as a whole, specifically we mentioned about MBA, right? I was also discussing it the other day with someone, that the current education curriculum, the way we are taught it, is not really that good a fit with respect to what happens in the real world. And do you also think that the ancient knowledge is something that we need to bring to the front? Are we going into that direction? What are your thoughts?
So I would uh, slightly differ.
Mm-hmm.
I think the education system in India is very progressive, and I think we have understood that it needs overhauling, and we have started working towards it in big way.
Mm-hmm.
It could be through different interventions. So I think the work has started, or probably advanced in a lot of areas. But then, yes, we need to bring in more practicality in our entire approach of what we would want the future generation to actually know about, and kind of look at the real or the practical ways of implementing what is taught. That is one. Second is, yes, we need to reinforce the ancient wisdom, which has been there for so many years, right?
Yeah.
And again, see, this is something which is not unknown. I mean, our parents, our people close to us have always spoken about all of this. But then again, a reinforcement is required to kind of say that hey, lot of solutions to the current problems actually lie with you only. You have to probably look beyond the situation, and that's where I said, right, when you can stand outside your function, outside your role, then probably you can be a critic of yourself,
Yes, sir.
and you can actually find a solution, because then you're not bothered about the problem, but you're focused more of creating a solution. I think that's how it kind of stitches together, if from my perspective.
So this thing of right, Niti Shastram, Samarpan, and Netritva. Can you give me examples कि ये real world में कैसे दिखते हैं? Like, can you give me certain examples of, for example, leadership, right?
Sure,
Netritva.
sure,
So
sure, sure.
how is management principle different from Netritva leadership? So
Let me try and bring some examples to each of these, right? See, Neetishastram, if you look at it, right, it the plain and simple way of looking at it is wrong, even if everybody is doing it. That is how simple it is.
okay.
And as a person, in your heart, you know what is right and what is wrong. But you need to evolve to actually say that wrong is wrong. And then, I have this story which I read about a sculptor who was creating a huge statue, and there was a problem at the over the head of the statue, and the statue was probably 100 feet tall. And when somebody asked him that, why are you sad, it's come out so well. So he said, no, there's a mark on the head of the statue. And the person said, but yeah, I can't see it. But he said, hey, but I know that it is there. So that realization is very important, Samyak. So it is that very simple and candid, right? So that's what Niti Shastram is all about. That what is right, what is wrong is wrong. uh, and I think each of our actions, each of our approaches, uh, if aligned to this philosophy, it is very simple. Because they always used to tell us, right? Our mom used to tell us that if you speak lies, you have to remember what you spoke. But if you spoke, if you spoke the truth, then you don't have to think. You don't have to remember. So it's that simple, right? And what I said before, right? See, ultimately, you're dealing with people. They will know your intent. People will read through you, and if they know that you are known for being honest, transparent, and being very candid, they will take it on face value because they know that the intent is right. So I think that's on the Niti Shastra. From a leadership standpoint or Netritva, right? I have been firm believer of authentic leadership, where again Niti Shastram becomes an integral part, Samarpanshastra becomes an integral part, and that enabling role becomes the third phase of being authentic leader, where as leaders we are able to stand out, we are able to think through selflessly of the entire ecosystem and create that enabling environment for people, in which you become a coach, you become a mentor, you work through challenges for individuals, you work through difficult phases, you celebrate success of your team. And again, something which I have again very firmly believed in, and this goes back to one of my inspirations, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, where I always have looked at that the celebration should be uh, communicated by the team, whereas if something has gone wrong, I should go back and communicate that, hey, we messed up.
Oh wow.
And I have seen it creating wonders, because the positive aura of all of this, right, is tremendous. And that entire thing of taking the credit away from the right individual goes away, because then you're actually disconnected with it. So that is so ingrained, right? I mean, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam had this real life situation from his mentor or his boss, Professor Satish Dhawan, and you would know that story, right? I always relate to that success should be communicated by the team. The failure should be something which you should pick up and make sure you communicate that hey, we did goof up, but this is our plan to kind of get through it. So I think that's like a like what I have looked at the real life
much more practical, yeah.
much more practical, much more
right.
practical. And your energy, your positivity is very important in this journey, right? And I always say this, that a people leader needs to be like a clown, a joker, where he or she might be going through tremendous difficulties in their own space, but then when it comes to playing your role, you have to have that authenticity where you radiate energy, you radiate positivity, because only then people will come and have those conversations, right? Imagine being grumpy and sitting at one corner. Is anybody going to come and talk to you? So that is very important, right? How are you able to intelligently handle your own emotions is the key of, again, authentic leadership, right? So how do you manage your emotions? How do you celebrate success? How do you tackle failure? How do you look at creating opportunities for growth? And again, I've been fortunate to work with organizations where I've been able to create, or probably I've been able to, I should say, I have not created, but probably, contributed my part to creating the next set of leaders. Where, I went back to my management saying that, hey, actually, we need to start looking at bringing in the next set of leaders who could probably take my role tomorrow. And see, that is one thing, right? Never be fearful that someone else is going to take your role. The moment fear kicks in, you start doing mistakes. Be liberal, be free, uh, think forward. When you think forward, automatically you will find more opportunities for yourself. And then, your team also starts connecting with that purpose, right? That, oh, no, the competition is not between the two of us. The competition is between the organizations, and what roles are we going to play. So then that larger than life perspective comes in.
That insecurity also brings in that misery, right?
Yeah,
You start looking at self so much. So we were talking about that samarpan.
yeah.
You just focus on self, ki mera kya hoga, and all of that. What's the most difficult part of dealing with people?
I think the challenging times which organizations go through when it comes to making some difficult decisions because of business reasons, or because of the overall situation. It could be local, it could be global. I think that has been one of the most difficult
Have
part.
you been part of
Unfortunately, I have been part of
Uh,
that element, wherein, or it could be organizational restructuring as well, right? So as a people leader, probably that's one of the most difficult areas, I feel I had to deal with.
let's go into every bit of it, right? From the moment you got to know that you are supposed to do something of these sorts, or maybe people are going to come to you when to even looking at who to maybe let go, right? And then to how did you communicate, and then what happens next. So
Sure. So I think when you're an integral part of the overall operations of the organization, you obviously have a sense of where we are heading, or what is coming our way. But when the news strikes, I think it's important to have that candid conversation from where the news came in, of what is expected out of this entire exercise. Is there a way to look at alternatives? And I've always looked at, or probably gone back and suggested that, hey, can we look at 1 2 3 4, instead of going this route of letting go somebody, because ultimately that individual has joined you with an aspiration, with a dream in mind, right? So look at other avenues which could potentially take away this ultimate step, right? So do your homework very well, uh, and try and explore all those possible avenues. If there's no other avenue, but we have to walk down that path, I think one of the things which I have always made sure is communication. It is very important to candidly communicate with employees who are being impacted in this, and be very thoughtful in the way you would communicate. Uh, it is necessary that we give them an overall perspective of what is going to happen and why is it happening, and how the process would look like, or how the next few months would look like, right? uh, and have a genuine intent to also look at what could be done alternatively. uh, you know uh, and that's where the role of a people leader also comes in, right? uh, can we look at some skills which are trainable? If you have opportunities in the other part of the business, can you look at the existing set of people, and see if any of the skills can be trained over a period of time? Or are there some roles where these skill sets might be of use, and over a period of time they can acquire the other skill sets, right? So looking at that internal alignment is again very, very important, and that is where the intent comes into play, right? You're very, very you're मतलब आप बहुत चौकन्ने रहते हो that to look at what is possible to be done for those individuals, right? So if you start doing all of those things, right, then again, the people who are impacted look at it that, oh, the organization is trying to do something, right? The second part of it is, if nothing is going to be possible, then make sure that we enable that support to those who are impacted. It could be through the organizational policies to make sure that they are compensated in the rightful way. You support them through that entire journey. If they could be given some flexibility in terms of being with the organization for a period of time where your benefits could support them, or giving that flexibility where they could kind of go and have conversations outside the organization where potential roles are there. That flexibility aspect should come in. One of the important ways which has also created a huge impact is using our own network. uh, and
Yeah.
See, we all boost about that, I've got 500 people in my network, I've got 1,000 people in my network, but how many do we actually reach out to in such difficult times, right? This is again something which is very important. If you're able to create opportunities for those individuals outside, even if you're able to present them an opportunity, there's a lot of trust which gets built, that oh no, the people team is doing much more than what they're expected to do or what they probably would have done. So again, if you're able to kind of channelize some of your impacted colleagues in that direction, again, that kind of is a way to deal with it. I have seen a lot of examples where because of certain reasons we had to let go of individuals, and then when we had opportunity, we actually called them back as well. And again, that speaks volume about the organization, because then you're actually getting back your own people who had to be let go, which again is spiral, right? This all keeps circulating within and outside the organization, which then makes a good organization great.
But I think it's said right. So people would remember, would might not remember what they see. They might not remember what they heard, but they will always remember what they felt.
Yeah,
So I think
absolutely.
that's important to make that entire, uh, or rather, feel what they're feeling and act accordingly. Maybe we'll move towards the last segment, and in this one we want to understand and decode your mindset, right? So we want to get into your mind, and whatever you're thinking, you just need to kind of say that out loud. Take us through your journey from a mindset perspective. What were you thinking, right? Whatever key areas, key points, and what has led to you as a person who you are today, and where is it going now? Where do you see this going now? What is it that you're working on yourself, and where will it eventually go? Yeah. So maybe whatever time you remember the last, let's start from the earliest of the time that you remember your mindset being of a such kind, and then how it evolved.
So I think one of the thing which has always been, which fortunately has been consistent, is a positive outlook. Uh, so that has, of course, that has evolved or matured over a period of time, right from I would say school days to now I mean, how am I as an individual? That positive outlook has matured and evolved over a period of time, which kind of keeps fueling me. That is one. You know Second is the entire perspective about life has evolved for me.
Okay.
And probably I'm a very different person uh, as I was, say, in school, then in college, then probably the initial 8-9 years of my career,
Oh wow.
and then the next 10 years of my career, right? I see myself as an evolved person, myself, the outlook, the perspective.
Tell me more about it. More about it.
So, I used to be short tempered.
Oh, okay.
And probably, now is the phase where I'm much more calm when it comes
Hmm.
to an approach, and or when it comes to, reacting to a particular situation, right? So
Mm.
that has been one significant change in my own self. Second, I think, so again from mindset, right? So I always believed in motivation, that motivation comes from outside,
Okay.
only to realize that actually it cannot come from outside.
Mm.
It has to be internal, because
Wow.
the fire should come from within. And I firmly believe in the rocket philosophy, that the
Mm.
fire should light at the right place, right? So that's again a change in my mindset, that from getting external motivation or extrinsic motivation, it is always it is now intrinsic.
What is external
Extrinsic in
motivation?
sense, so
Yeah.
basically expecting somebody else to motivate you, or
Mm.
kind of fuel your passion, or look for assistance to kind of be happy.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
now it's evolved to that, yes, you can get a lot of inspirations from a lot of people around you.
Mm.
They can help you navigate to the next phase of your life, but then to go there, it has to be your own belief in it, right? They say, right, you can take the horse to the water, but you cannot make the
That was
horse
big.
drink the
Mm.
water. I think that's how motivation and inspiration have changed for me. Another thing which, or probably the thing which again has remained consistent and probably reinforced time and again for me, is the zero and one philosophy.
Mm.
What
Mm.
is right and what is wrong, and nothing has changed in
It
that.
has been there or it evolved?
No, I think it has been there, and
Mm.
instances and experiences have reinforced that my approach is correct.
Mm.
From a humble beginning of joining as an intern at Tata Technologies to the director head of people operations at
Mm.
Krafton, each of my decisions, I can see through those decisions. And I say this, right, that if you're able to see through, or if you're able to uh, talk through about your decision you made, why did you make a decision, without fumbling, then I think that you have done the right thing, right?
Mm.
So I think that's been again something which has probably reinforced for myself, and getting that peaceful sleep in the night is something which fortunately I don't struggle. So I think that's probably the third space. I think what has also evolved is this entire enabling mindset, right? Or Samarpanshastra for that matter, right?
Wow.
That again has evolved. And again, I would attribute a lot of it to, the people with whom I've worked over the last 18 years,
Mm.
or my family for that matter,
Mm.
where, for example, today, right, I travel like crazy, and then, but then still the family supports through
Yes.
selflessly, right? And it's a huge blessing to have that support system, right? So each of these individuals have kind of helped me evolve this journey of selflessness, I would say. Each of my mentors, each of my leaders with whom I got opportunities to work together, learn together. And interestingly, Samyak, all of them created an enabling environment,
Yeah.
without being insecure,
Mm. Mm.
uh,
Mm.
which again evolved me as a person, because I have that, I mean, that gratitude approach, or thought, always kept reinforcing in my mind that, hey, actually somebody else did it for me and I need to do it for
Yeah.
someone else,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So again, that has evolved over a period of time. The selflessness has evolved over a period of time, of how do I look at a particular situation, or those things, right? And I think the last bit, probably, what I could think about is, worrying about the outcomes.
Oh, wow.
So that again has evolved, okay, over a period of time. Obviously in the early stage of my life, used to be too worried about what the outcomes would be, too stressed about
Mm.
what the consequences would be.
Mm.
To now, decoding it to a very simple funda. If you have a problem and if you have a solution, then you need not worry. And if you have a problem and if you don't have a solution, then worrying is not going to get you a solution. So then why worry?
Right.
Is how I look at it, right? And I think people like Gaur Gopal Das again have, I mean, he's one of those who has had tremendous impact on me, as an individual, where he says, right, that challenges are going to be there. Or even somebody like Dhoni, who says that challenges and difficulties are going to be a part of your life, but if you can be among those 5% who faced it with a smile, then I think you will stand amongst the crowd
Yeah.
to having done it elegantly and seamlessly. I think that's how I've kind of evolved as a person, and but I attribute it to the people who have enabled me in this journey. That gratitude factor has been reinforced to me time and again with experiences and
I
people.
think a lot of times we think that people are not there or what will happen, but I think more often than not, people are there to support you. It's just that you need to go into that path that you selected for yourself. Where is it heading, Sora? Where is your life heading? What is it that you want next for yourself? As in, or maybe whatever that definition can be. But where do you see this? Where do you see yourself 5, 10 years down the line? I'm asking the HR this question.
No, I think the 50-50, right? 50%
Hmm.
my life where I'm expected to create uh, the outcomes as part of
Gotcha.
my role. I obviously want to make sure that that 50% is 100%,
Yeah. Yes.
and the focus continues to be in that area. So that is one part, and that obviously has will ensure I create experiences. I create upgradations for everybody around me, and learning will continue to be a very crucial element of it.
Yeah.
So that 50% will become 100%, and I think the other 50%, right? I want to stand out, and look at myself. Am I doing justice to that remaining 50% of my life? Is there something more I can do?
Do you
Is
have any expectation of that 50%?
Uh, my expectation is that I should. I mean, people should think of reaching out to me if they need to reach out to me,
Oh wow.
uh, or if there are avenues where I can reach out to people, I should be able to do that. Is probably an expectation I have. Uh, People will reach out to me only if I'm able to support them through their journey, uh,
Hmm.
through words as well as action, and I'll be able to again go back and do that part from myself if my
Yeah.
50%, which is 100%, which if I focus on it being
Yeah.
100%. So I think this is kind of intervened,
Yeah.
and will go hand in hand. But yeah, that's how I want to kind of look at it. And when probably 10 years down the line, when I reflect back, I would want to continue being happy, continue being satisfied, that probably the blessing which I have, which is life, right? I've made it worth living for myself,
Hmm.
by doing what probably we are expected to do, right, as
Yeah.
human beings. We have two beautiful things, other than the other organs, right? One is heart and mind. uh,
Yeah.
so if we are able to balance that, and if we are able to do justice, using those two significant, uh, probably aspects within our body, and if you're able to reflect back, I think that's what I expect. And probably, as I
Hmm.
said, right, the zero and one philosophy, till I'm alive, if I'm able to reflect on my journey, as that uh, chapter where it has been always zero and one, where I can stand in front of thousands of people and speak convincingly about it. I
Hmm.
think those are a few expectations which I have from myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, it really looks like you're living your purpose and aligning your work with that. It was nice having you here, Saurabh. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Samyak. I mean, I have enjoyed this conversation. This has been very unique, I would say, where we touched upon a lot of aspects, and probably, I could also relate to the conversations which we've had in the past, or what I have been observing about you as an individual, right? I think so. This has been definitely a very enriching experience. A lot of learnings out of it, and probably, I think credit to you. You've probably also put some thoughts in my mind about my own expectations from life. And I hope that that will continue to fuel my own passion about creating that impact for the entire ecosystem, and be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Saurabh.